My girlfriend betrayed me just when I was completing all the preparations for our wedding. She suddenly messaged me, saying that we shouldn't get married right now. I replied, maybe you're right. Then, that night, I suddenly got a message from her friend, and after seeing it, I was shocked. How could this have happened? I'm 28, work as a project manager for a construction firm, and until 3 months ago, I thought I had my entire future mapped out. Amber and I had been together for 3.5 years, living together for the last 2, and our wedding was set for August 20th at a vineyard about 2 hours north of the city. I'd spent the better part of 6 months coordinating every detail because that's what I do. I plan, I organize, I make sure things don't fall apart. We met through a weekend hiking group that my coworker dragged me to. Amber was the only person who could match my pace on the trails, always cracking jokes when everyone else was gasping for air. After our 3rd hike, I asked her to dinner, and she said yes before I could even suggest a restaurant. 6 months later, we moved in together. A year after that, I proposed on top of Mount Washington after a brutal 5-hour climb in questionable weather. She cried, I cried, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I'd actually gotten something right. The wedding planning started last February. I took point on most of it because Amber worked irregular hours at the dental office where she was a hygienist, and honestly, I didn't mind. I'm the kind of person who color-codes spreadsheets and sets phone reminders for everything. I booked the venue, secured a photographer with a 2-year waiting list, taste-tested 3 different caterers until we found one Amber actually liked, and spent 2 entire weekends debating flower arrangements with a florist who charged by the stem. My brother Jake was flying in from Seattle to be my best man. Amber's maid of honor, Priya, had been handling the smaller details, table settings, party favors, guest book designs. By mid-June, everything was locked in. Invitations had been sent. RSVPs were coming back. My parents had already bought their outfits. Then on a Thursday afternoon in the middle of June, while I was on-site reviewing blueprints for a commercial development, my phone buzzed with a text from Amber. Amber, can we talk when you get home? I've been thinking about something important. I stared at the message, dirt smudging the screen. The phrasing felt off. We lived together. She could have told me that morning over coffee. The fact that she was texting me at 2 in the afternoon about something important made my stomach twist. Me, everything okay? Amber, yeah, just want to discuss something. That didn't make me feel better. I spent the rest of the afternoon distracted, double-checking measurements I'd already verified and snapping at my assistant when he asked a perfectly reasonable question. By the time I left the site at 5, I'd convinced myself she wanted to change something about the ceremony. Maybe the music, maybe the vows. Small stuff. Fixable stuff. I stopped at the grocery store and picked up ingredients for carbonara, her favorite dish. When I got home around 5:45, she was already there, sitting at the kitchen table in her scrubs with her hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had clearly gone cold. She didn't look up when I walked in. Hey, I said, setting the grocery bags on the counter. Long shift. Not really. Just thinking. I started unpacking groceries, giving her space to start the conversation. When she didn't say anything, I turned around. So what did you want to talk about? She finally looked at me, and something in her expression made my chest tighten. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying, but her face was set in that determined way people get when they've rehearsed something difficult. I don't think we should get married right now. The words hung in the air. I blinked, waiting for context, for clarification, for anything that would make those words make sense. What? I mean, maybe we should postpone. Push the wedding back. Give ourselves more time. I set down the package of pasta I was holding. Amber, the wedding is in 2 months. We've paid deposits. Your parents bought plane tickets from Florida. What are you talking about? I know the timing is bad, but I just think maybe we're rushing into this. Rushing? We've been together for 3.5 years. We've lived together for 2. We picked out paint colors for this apartment together. When exactly were we supposed to get married? That's not what I mean. I need more time to be sure. The kitchen felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. You weren't sure when I proposed? You weren't sure when we tasted cakes? When you picked out your dress? I was sure then. I am sure. She stopped, pressing her palms against her eyes. Can we please just postpone it? Move it to next year. No, we can't just postpone it. Do you have any idea how many moving parts are involved in this? How many people have arranged their lives around August 20th? I know, and I'm sorry, but I can't marry you if I'm not completely ready. I stared at her, trying to recognize the woman I'd planned a future with in this stranger sitting at my kitchen table. Maybe you're right. She looked up, surprised. What? If you're not sure, then maybe we shouldn't do this. I didn't say cancel it. I said postpone it. What's the difference, Amber? Either way, you're telling me you don't want to marry me in 2 months. Either way, I have to call everyone and tell them the wedding's off. That's not fair. None of this is fair. You dropped this on me 2 months before the wedding and expect me to just smile and say okay. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the tile. I need some air. I'm going for a walk. She grabbed her keys and left without looking back. I stood there in the kitchen, surrounded by groceries I no longer felt like cooking, and tried to figure out what the hell had just happened. Eventually, I made myself a sandwich and ate it standing over the sink, my mind racing through every interaction we'd had over the past few months, searching for signs I'd missed. Amber came back around 8:30. She went straight to the bedroom without saying a word. I heard the door close and knew she wasn't coming back out. I grabbed a blanket and pillow from the hall closet and made up the couch. Sleep didn't come easy. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to cars pass outside, and replaying her words over and over. Around 11:30, just as I was finally starting to drift off, my phone buzzed on the coffee table. A text from Priya. Priya, are you awake? I need to tell you something. It's about Amber. Can you call me? My heart started pounding. I sat up, grabbed my phone, and stepped out onto the back porch so I wouldn't wake Amber. I called Priya immediately. Hello, she answered on the first ring. Hey, what's going on? There was a pause, and I could hear her breathing, like she was working up courage. I've been going back and forth on whether to tell you this for weeks now, but after Amber told me today that she asked you to postpone the wedding, I can't keep quiet anymore. Tell me what? She's been seeing someone else. Another guy. His name is Trevor. He works at the dental office with her. He's one of the dentists there. The porch seemed to tilt beneath my feet. What are you talking about? I found out about 3 weeks ago. I was downtown having lunch with a client, and I saw them together at a restaurant across the street. They were sitting at a table outside, holding hands. I watched them for a few minutes because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He leaned over and kissed her. On the mouth. Not like a friend. I confronted her the next day, and she broke down and admitted they've been involved for about 6 weeks. 6 weeks. While I was finalizing our seating chart. While I was arguing with the florist about rose varieties. While I was confirming our honeymoon flights to Greece. She made me promise not to say anything. Priya continued, her voice shaking. She said she needed to figure out her feelings on her own, and that it wasn't fair to blow up your life over something that might not mean anything. I've been losing sleep over it ever since. But now that she's trying to postpone the wedding instead of just being honest with you, I realized she's probably trying to keep you as a backup while she decides what she wants. That's not fair to you. Does anyone else know? I don't think so. Just me. And now you. I'm so sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I keep thinking I should have said something immediately, but she's my friend, and I didn't know what to do. No, I get it. Thank you for telling me now. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. I need to process this. Call me if you need anything. Seriously. Anytime. I hung up and sat down on the porch steps. The night was humid, crickets chirping in the small strip of grass behind our building. A car alarm went off somewhere down the block. I thought about Amber inside, probably lying in our bed, and wondered how she could do this. Not just the cheating, the lying. The letting me continue planning a wedding she wasn't even sure she wanted. The looking me in the eye every morning and pretending everything was fine. I sat out there until past midnight, until the mosquitoes got bad and my legs went numb. When I finally went back inside, I didn't go to the bedroom. I went back to the couch, lay down with my arm over my eyes, and waited for morning. Update 1. Friday morning, I woke up to the sound of Amber getting ready for work. She was in the bathroom, running water, opening and closing cabinets. She left around 7 without waking me, probably assuming I was still asleep. I heard the front door close and lay there staring at the living room ceiling, trying to decide how to handle this. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, call her at work and demand answers. But another part of me, the part that built buildings and knew how to plan for contingencies, wanted to be methodical about this. I wanted proof. Not because I didn't believe Priya, but because I needed Amber to not be able to deny it. I needed her to have no escape route. Around 9, I texted my brother. Me, need advice. Call when you have a minute. Jake called back 5 minutes later. What's wrong? I told him everything. The postponement request. Priya's phone call. The guy at Amber's work. Jake listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he let out a low whistle. Jesus. So what are you going to do? Confront her tonight. But I want to make sure I have all the facts first. You want me to fly out there? Not yet, but I might need you to later. Say the word, and I'm on a plane. I'm serious. I know. Thanks, man. I spent the day working from home, accomplishing basically nothing. I opened my laptop, stared at spreadsheets, and closed it again. Around noon, I made myself eat something because I knew I'd need energy for whatever was coming. Around 3 in the afternoon, I texted Amber. Me. What time are you home tonight? Amber. Should be around 6. Why? Me. We need to talk. For real this time. Amber. Okay. I ordered pizza because the thought of cooking made me nauseous. When she walked in at 6:20, she looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back messily, shoulders slumped. For a second, I almost felt bad for what I was about to do. Almost. Hey, she said, setting her purse on the counter. Pizza's here. Grab a slice and sit down. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table. She picked at a slice of pepperoni while I watched her, waiting. Finally, I spoke. Priya called me last night. Her face went completely white. The slice of pizza slipped from her hand back onto the plate. Oh, she told me about Trevor. Amber closed her eyes, her shoulders sagging like someone had cut her strings. I can explain. I'm sure you can. But before you start explaining, I want you to tell me the truth. How long? 6 weeks. But it's not what you think. Enlighten me then. What is it? It happened. We started talking at work about normal stuff. Patients, procedures, whatever. Then we started getting coffee during breaks. Then lunch a few times. And it just escalated. Escalated. That's an interesting way to describe cheating on your fiancé. I kept my voice level, almost detached. So when you asked to postpone the wedding yesterday, it wasn't because you needed time to be sure about us. It was because you wanted time to figure out if you'd rather be with him. No. Maybe. I don't know. She put her face in her hands. I'm so confused. What exactly are you confused about? Whether you want to marry me or date your coworker? Because from where I'm sitting, that seems pretty straightforward. It's not that simple. Actually, it is exactly that simple. You either want to be with me or you don't. There's no middle ground here. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I do want to be with you. I love you. This thing with Trevor, it's just what? A phase? A mistake? A backup plan in case I wasn't good enough? I made a mistake. A huge mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices over 6 weeks. You chose to start something with him. You chose to hide it from me. You chose to let me keep planning our wedding, spending our money, coordinating our families, all while you were figuring out your feelings for someone else. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Do you love him? The question hung there. She didn't answer right away, and that pause, that half-second of hesitation, told me everything I needed to know. Get out, I said quietly. What? Pack a bag and leave. Tonight. Can we please just talk about this? I'll end it with Trevor right now. I'll quit my job if I have to. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. There's nothing to fix. It's done. Please. This is my home too. Then I'll leave. I don't care. Either way, I'm not sleeping under the same roof as you tonight. I stood up, grabbed my keys and wallet from the counter, and walked out. I got in my car and just drove, no destination in mind. I ended up at Kyle's apartment. He was a buddy from college who lived about 20 minutes away. He opened the door, took one look at my face, and stepped aside. Come in. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer, turned on a basketball game, and let me sit there in silence. Around 10, I finally told him everything. He listened, shaking his head. That's brutal, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. I crashed on his couch that night, and for the next week. Amber texted constantly, long paragraphs of apologies, explanations, promises to change. I ignored all of them. On Tuesday, I sent a group email to everyone on the wedding guest list. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Amber and I have decided to cancel our wedding. We appreciate your understanding and support during this difficult time. My phone exploded. Calls, texts, concerned messages from family and friends. I answered my parents and Jake. Everyone else got the same response. I appreciate your concern, but I need some space right now. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk. My mom called crying. What happened, honey? She cheated on me, Mom. For 6 weeks while we planned the wedding. I can't marry someone who did that. Oh, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. Yeah, me too. Starting the vendor cancellation process was its own special nightmare. The venue kept half our deposit, $4,000 gone. The photographer was understanding and refunded everything except a $500 booking fee. The caterer kept $2,000. The florist kept $1,200. All told, I lost about $8,000. $8,000 for a wedding that would never happen. Small price to pay for dodging a marriage to someone who couldn't stay faithful. Update 2. Amber moved out the following weekend. I stayed at Kyle's place while she packed her stuff. She texted me when she was done. Amber, I got everything. Left my keys on the kitchen counter. I'm so sorry for hurting you. I know that doesn't mean much now, but I truly am. I didn't respond. Priya reached out a few days later, her voice small and guilty on the phone. I keep thinking I should have told you sooner. Maybe if I had, you wouldn't have wasted so much time and money. You told me when you could. That's what matters. Don't beat yourself up over it. Are you okay? Getting there. One day at a time. If you need anything, seriously call me. I will. Thanks. She mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that Amber had been staying with her older sister who lived across town. And that, apparently, she was still seeing Trevor. That information should have felt like a knife to the gut, but mostly, I just felt numb. Empty. Like someone had scooped out my insides and left a shell behind. Jake flew out in early July to check on me. We spent the weekend fishing at a lake 2 hours north, not talking about Amber, which was exactly what I needed. Just casting lines, drinking beer, watching the sun move across the water. On Sunday evening, sitting on Kyle's back porch, Jake finally brought it up. You doing okay? And I want a real answer, not the I'm fine bullshit. Honestly, some days are better than others. Some mornings I wake up and forget for about 10 seconds that my life imploded. Then I remember, and it's like getting hit by a truck all over again. You know this isn't on you, right? This is all her. Logically, yeah, but it's hard not to wonder what I did wrong. What I could have done differently. Nothing. You did nothing wrong. She's the one who couldn't handle commitment. She's the one who lied. Don't take that on yourself. Easier said than done. I know, but I'm going to keep saying it until you believe it. By August, I'd moved into a new apartment closer to work. Smaller, 1 bedroom instead of 2, but it was mine. No memories of Amber attached to the walls, or the furniture, or the kitchen where we used to cook together. I spent August 20th, what should have been my wedding day, playing golf with Kyle and some guys from work. It felt surreal, knowing I'd spent months planning for a day that ended up being just another Saturday. Just another round of golf and beers afterward and sunburn on my shoulders. In September, I ran into one of Amber's co-workers at a coffee shop near my office. She was a dental assistant named Kendra who'd been at a few work events I'd attended with Amber. She recognized me immediately and gave an awkward wave. Hey, how are you? Good. You. Good. She shifted her weight, clearly uncomfortable. Listen, I don't know if you've heard, but Amber and Trevor broke up. About 3 weeks ago. I hadn't heard, but thanks for letting me know. She was asking about you last week. Wondering how you were doing. If you'd moved on. I smiled politely. I appreciate you telling me, but what Amber does isn't really my concern anymore. She nodded, looking relieved that I wasn't going to unload on her. That's probably healthy. Take care of yourself. You too. I didn't feel triumphant learning about their breakup. I didn't feel vindicated or satisfied. I didn't feel much of anything. That chapter was closed, and I had no interest in reopening it to see how the story ended for them. By October, I was starting to feel like myself again. I bought a kayak and started exploring rivers on weekends. The physical activity helped, paddling until my arms burned, focusing on navigation instead of thoughts spiraling in my head. Jake visited again in November, and we hiked the same trails where Amber and I had first met. It should have been painful, but it wasn't. It was just a trail. I'm 29 now, still single, still rebuilding. I've thrown myself into work, taken on bigger projects, stayed late at the office more nights than I probably should. But I'm also learning to be okay with being alone, with not having my entire future planned out, with accepting that sometimes the life you thought you wanted isn't actually the right one. I haven't heard from Amber since she moved out. No texts, no calls, no attempts to explain herself further or ask for forgiveness. Part of me wonders if she thinks about me, if she regrets what she did, if she realizes what she threw away. But mostly, I just don't think about her at all anymore. Some people aren't ready for the commitment they claim to want. Some people are too cowardly to be honest when they have doubts. I'm glad I found out before I signed legal papers and tied my life to someone who couldn't be faithful when things got complicated. The wedding would have been beautiful. The vineyard, the flowers, the carefully chosen menu, all of it. But a beautiful wedding doesn't mean anything if the person standing across from you isn't sure they want to be there. I dodged a bullet. It hurt like hell, cost me $8,000 and 6 months of planning, but I dodged it. And that's worth more than any wedding could have been.